Good morning. Welcome to your daily dose of narcissistic awareness. Um, yeah, yesterday I was quite impressed again of artificial intelligence, and I asked my free copy of ChatGPT 4 a few questions. You see it in my community thread, so you need to subscribe if you want to see this. Um, about terms like narcissistic mortification and the schizoid core of the covert narcissist. Yeah, I could have tried dual mothership model and other things concerning this topic. And yeah, it's crazy how this new technology can extract information from its network. Um, by the way, we all know that already artificial intelligence and technology, like cameras in this case, support doctors in diagnosing skin cancer. This is where AI excels in pattern recognition, right? And the camera can see much better than a human eye. And this is why they are better. It's better at this at than the best human being. So they are superior than human beings in diagnosing skin cancer. And soon we will have AI assisted diagnosis for personality disorders. Because in the first when you think about this, you think, how should this work? How should an AI see this? Because in skin cancer, it's clear you see a two-dimensional surface like skin, and there are patterns, so this can easily be recognized. But it does not really make a big difference for an AI. Because let's say narcissism or narcissistic psychopathy, it's a pattern and it's a cancer, so it's the same. Um, the name malignant comes from cancer, a malignant cancer. But it also is used in narcissism, the malignant narcissist. And without any education and knowledge about this, before I educated myself about narcissism, which I all did within the last 4 years, before this, I explained to my wife that what we experience at the moment when we where we lived is like a cancer. It is a person that grows into the family like a fungus or like cancer, without communicating with the surrounding tissue and with expanding into vital organs of the family. So I kind of saw the similarity, and I I kind of intuitively knew or found out, discovered why it's called malignant. Okay, so yeah, I diagnosed not. I kind of diagnosed several narcissists without knowing narcissism. I'm also baffled by the way that Nietzsche did not find out about narcissism, but my answer why Nietzsche did not separate this of or why he did not stumble across it. Of course, Carl Gustav Jung, I think he did. He kind of did, but he was not in the search for pathologic personality disorder in the first place. But I thought Nietzsche, he had so deep insights in the human psyche, and when we read Thus Spoke Zarathustra, we will definitely find a lot of narcissistic psychopathic tendencies in the figures, the archetypes that Zarathustra, who is a representation of a morphing archetype or a maturing archetype as well. He encounters other archetypes, and these might have a lot of narcissistic, psychopathic tendencies as well. And I think Nietzsche did not separate this because he is obsessed with being strong himself. He is obsessed with self development and overcoming all problems. And he has a deep, deep, deep doubt for pointing at others at all or blaming anyone. He also was impressed with strong personalities that he called out as people like Napoleon Bonaparte, and he could probably have been a narcissistic psychopath very well. A person obsessed with power. And this leads us. So yeah, Nietzsche was not interested in finding out, I am not scapegoating narcissists or psychopaths, but Nietzsche was far away from scapegoating anyone because he was just interested the in the peak of mankind, in the overcoming, and he also saw empathy or mercy as a weakness. So Nietzsche was extreme. Nietzsche is not a miracle. He's an enigma. Nietzsche is an enigma. His own breakdown happened because of mercy and empathy. So he suffered from it. Nietzsche was not balanced, so to say. So he's a miracle and a genius. This is why I can't really put this to an end to talk about him. So we put it to an end because we have to. Yeah, by the way, I made also a video, one of my best works in my opinion, an old video of mine about the slave drivers and the slaves, so the people from whichever colonistic country they come from, doesn't matter, Spain, America, Portugal, whoever took slaves, black slaves in this case. And I figured out that the people who take the slaves are the abusers. They are people obsessed with powers, but people who are also have no moral core and no empathy and are needy. They need to do something and they don't do it alone the hard way. They don't go on the fields and work it themselves. They don't pay people enough so that people do it people do it voluntarily. No, they think different. They think narcissistic and psychopathic. They go to a country and take the strongest. Okay? They take the strongest and capture them. And take them to, in the most perverted case, take a country from another native population. So they go to Africa, take the strongest of the strongest, take them to work on the plantains, and use them and their offspring to conquer, to steal America from the Native Americans. This is perversion of humankind, okay? And it shows that it is absolutely not the case that abusers are strong and abused are weak. It shows that it can be completely the other way around, okay? Yet there is this narrative of Nietzsche, will to power, the Übermensch, the slave moral. you know, I'm now provoking. I have in my, me personally, I feel I have crashed consciousness, and I believe that Christ is a very strong masculine archetype of the king figure, and that he is actually more matured and stronger than, let's say, um, this king that wanted to kill all the babies to also kill Jesus because he was afraid of Jesus. Um, his name was funny. It's funny that his name goes into the direction of, hero, because hero is another archetype, but it's not a mature archetype. Um, but I can't completely remember it. What was his name? Here it was like something with like Herodes, right? So some people would argue Herodes was strong and Jesus was weak, and this is why he was crucified. But I think different. By the way, even my family therapist tries to convince me um, about this dangerous narrative. This is how I perceived it a little bit, that the abusers are the strong and the abused are weak. But I think this is a very dangerous narrative. And while it can contain some truth, I believe in most cases it's different. We see this in wars as well. We have the war now, and the rich people, and the rich people go away anyway and watch the war from a safe distance and invest in business. They invest their money now in business that prospers in war times, while the strong, the humble, and the healthy go to war and die for them. And the cowards are the politicians. They are hiding. Yeah. So the weak control the strong. This is my narrative, okay? And if you have a problem with that, um, I take consultations. We can do a boxing fight or an MMA fight, um, like Mike Tyson and Jake Paul did. Um, and then we will see who's strong and who's not strong. Okay. Um, I'm just kidding. Of course, I'm just kidding. Um, yeah. So let me drink my coffee for a second. Yeah, but talking about war. Um, you know, I was thinking that maybe mankind, um, of course we are not finished. Our evolution is still going on, but there might be a crossroad of our consciousness that is still developed and evolving. The prefrontal cortex is the newest area of the brain, the mirror neurons, and these are exactly the parts of the brain that don't work in narcissists and psychopaths properly. And this behavior can be rewarded in our competitive society. If the narcissist and psychopath has enough control of themselves. Um, and being too sensitive and empathetic is definitely of disadvantage. So we're talking still about the same dynamic, right? Of abuser and abused. But what I want to say is um, that it is not settled, or it is not, there's no external truth about what is the right dose of everything. But what is sure is, if we want to live as the 8 billion people that we are, or more, I don't know, on this planet, we need to be empathetic. Otherwise, we're not ready for this. Otherwise, we have to uh, nuke our population back to back into the Stone Age. Okay, but then we have space for all the psychopaths and the narcissists, and then everybody can go back to his, go back to basics. But when we want to live together, we need empathetic, or let's say if we want to live together with less suffering in general, then we need people with open hearts that are not competitive in an unhealthy way, um, and that do not have to mold their exterior, their living space, in a way that they can live out a grandiose fantasy, but truly live together and be open for unknown outcomes. All these are abilities that narcissistic psychopaths never have. So, what I want to say is there might be a crossroad where, or we are at a crossroad where it is being decided how much of empathy and sensitivity is good for our race, how much self absorption, entitlement, cruelty, lack of empathy is good for our race. Because this is what ultimately decides what will be kept in the gene pool. Okay? And we need the right mixture of everything, I believe. And there we go to shadow work again, because when you're too sensitive and empathetic and you think that everybody is like you, everybody has a moral core, everybody is interested in the best outcome for everybody, you're open for an unknown outcome, but then you find out, oh, the other side is not open for an unknown outcome. The other side is plotting. The other side is molding their exterior in a way that does not tolerate independent personalities, but only yes sayers and codependents and co idealizing people. Then you need to integrate part of this Luciferian spirit of domination and manipulation into your own personality to cope with these people. And the same is extended into the DNA of our race. How much do we need of all of this? Okay, because if we're extremely Luciferian, we are not self-aware, we are not empathetic, we can't raise our children. We are then robots. We are then power obsessed, goal driven robots that grow like a cancer, basically. But when we are very sensitive, very empathetic, we first think of everybody around us before we think of ourselves. This will definitely also give us many problems and also rip us of the ability to survive in a hostile environment. Where we're coming from? We're coming from a jungle, okay? So when we think of, oh, look at this saber-toothed tiger, you know what? I think I will give him myself because the tiger is so hungry, okay? Then we can survive. So we need a healthy mixture of all of that. Yeah, and this is where we are, and we're deciding at the moment. We're deciding is a decision of where we want to go to, and I believe in our society. In the Western world, I live in Germany. It's already in a dangerous state. There is a lot of self-absorption everywhere in society. There is a lot of self-righteousness, pretension, covertness, double moral. We think we have high standards. We think we're empathetic. We think we're civilized. We think we're doing the right things. While in reality, it's self-delusion. We are thinking of ourselves. We try to feed into a grandiose fantasy of ourselves. We exclude the best parts. The best people are pushed out of society. The strongest people are used, abused, and destroyed, while a lot of very malignant personalities that live off the energy of others are in top positions. All right? This is where we're at. And there is a lot of decisions that will happen, and it's up to you to have a mind, to have eyes to see and ears to hear, and make your discernment. Okay? So I'm giving you some archetypes that are talking about or that are considered with this topic. So our family therapist said Alexis Sorbas, the movie, is considered with this topic. I asked ChatGPT and it did not really hook me. I don't know whether this is true, but Fyodor Dostoevsky's The Idiot for sure is exactly considering this topic, that when you're trying to make everybody, when you try to please everybody, and when you're too good, when you're too open, you cause a lot of suffering. But the suffering, of course, comes from selfish and dark personalities that abuse you. So this is a circle that belongs together. Also, you can just study human history and what happened with the slaves, how they were taken. There were slaves who never submitted, like the Maroons in Jamaica. I would love to live there with the Maroons. um, and I see myself as a Maroon. I have never submitted to the narcissistic family cult and I escaped, okay? But again, there's people who see this as a weakness, all right? But it's ridiculous. I will not allow this narration to be made. Anyway, you can also, of course, explore the archetype of the Christ figure. Okay, Jesus is not a one personality that is bound to 2,000 years ago and Christianity. No, in a lot of religions there is the Christ figure. It's an archetype of mankind. It's a strong, in my opinion, a strong masculine king figure. It could be female, it doesn't matter, right? Genders don't matter in archetypes. A masculine archetype can be represented by a person with any gender. Anyway, the Christ figure, he was crucified, but then he resurrected, which for me shows that you have to mature, okay? So you are born in a loving, open, sensitive way, but a little bit too childlike, a little bit naive. And then the people kill you, and then you come again like a phoenix from the ashes, and then you're different. You resurrect, okay? Yeah. And you can look at other archetypes that are different, like Napoleon Bonaparte, or other people who thrive for domination and manipulation at any cost. Nietzsche is an interesting figure who broke on his own philosophy at the end. And his philosophy of slave moral and will to power, but most people don't understand this anyway, because Nietzsche. Okay, anyway, I think the video is long enough now. Take care out there. Don't be too fair and don't share with everybody.